This is a three-part series on railroading in Wayne County over the course of the last 50 years. We're standing on the east end of downtown Wooster where Liberty Street becomes Pittsburgh Avenue. Wooster Rail Station behind us. It was a national landmark. It was where President Truman made his historic whistle stop in 1948 in the midst of his re-election campaign. At the time, there were 4 tracks at this crossing, but unfortunately, it was marked only with a giant crossbuck. It was indicating it was owned by the Pennsylvania Railroad. Pennsylvania and the New York Central merged in 1968, went bankrupt in 1972, taken over by Conrail. The first crossing in Wayne County that got Conrail's attention, it was the crossing southeast of Smithville on Apple Creek Road in 1976. Now, it had standard-sized crossbucks and an indication of how many tracks were at this crossing, but unlike the crossing at Evie Road south of Smithville at the Weilersville station, no warning lights. So Conrail stepped in and put lights and gates at this crossing, making it the 6th in this county on this particular railroad to have this honor. Norfolk Southern took over the railroad in 1999, and although it doesn't operate quite as many trains as Conrail once did, cherry picking as it went through the 80s and 90s to upgrade crossings that needed some, that weren't exactly safe, Norfolk Southern arranged to see to it that every crossing on this line in Wayne County, with the exception of Robinson Street and Shreve, was gated. Robinson Street remains gateless. There's another railroad that goes through the city of Wooster. It's operated now by R.J. Corman, but before that, it used to be part of the Baltimore and Ohio back in the 1950s. It would follow the Killbuck Creek northwest from the city, northwest direction, and it would intersect with the B&O's main line, which went from Chicago to Pittsburgh. To our knowledge, since most of the trackage was gone by 1980, we have no idea if any of these crossings even as much as have warning lights, with the exception of the US 3250 bypass of Wooster, which had 4 sets of mast-mounted lights being a divided highway. Now, when CSX took over that line, it decided that the 2 crossings would be fully upgraded. Columbus Avenue in Wooster had just a lonely 2-sided crossbuck at the east end of the street, while the crossing on Route 3, Ohio 302, Lincoln Way West, coming into the city and headed up the hill past the Frito-Lay plant to the left and the ODOT garage on the right, had B&O sized crossbucks or B&O style crossbucks, but no warning lights. CSX upgraded them to put lights and gates at both crossings. Meanwhile, R.J. Corman took over the railroad in the early 2000s and decided to modernize the crossing on the bypass by replacing the mast-mounted lights with a pair of cantilever style lights, one over the westbound traffic, one over the eastbound traffic.